Hey, how's it going? My name is James P. White. This is the Bald and Short of It podcast, and that is none other than Chris Mooney. I don't know how to change fonts on text. I have to teach him how to change. It's totally inside. It drives me insane when people do that, and I have to change it back, and it almost hurts my feelings and sensibilities. But I will get over it someday. But this is the Bald and Short of It podcast. We have a lot to talk about. And I know that this podcast, we go deep into the sports because that's all Mooney breathes. And today there's some big shit going on in the sports world with the Blue Jays, with the Oilers, with all kinds of stuff. So we're going to be getting into that a bit later. And how's it going, big guy?
Not bad. Just it's kind of funny that you know I'm not saying that we kind of pride ourselves in being sort of spontaneous and not too much prep, but um, the first thing you do is like come after me. Like the last thing we talked about, we were talking about the font. I did something to the notes, and I agree with you about the font, so that's fine. But
It has to be
of
consistent. It just drives me insane because then your eyes are pulled to the bigger font automatically. We need to keep this, got to quit being racist with the font. Like I'm very focused on size. And when you have big font and it makes it look like that's more important than everything else that we wrote down all week, but it's not. Dude, you have to worry about other people's feelings. It's not all about
save,
Mooney and how easy
save
it
it
is for you.
save it for your therapist.
Yeah, this is one of my therapy sessions actually. They're like I count this as therapy.
Big font is like is subversive to your sense of place in humanity.
Uh, and and my choice of friends. Um, but yeah,
Well, I'm glad you're
this
still
is
saying
it.
friend.
Friends-ish. But as we usually do, start this podcast, and we always start with talking a bit about our week. You first, big guy.
Well, our week is basically because we did it a little bit later last week. The cast, it's more like the last 5 days or whatever. But um, I had an eventful 5 days. The I had two really good highlights. Going to the house with you and Johnny was awesome. So Jimmy was kind enough to hang with us on Friday at you guessed it, Julian's. we had we had some good talks, and there was some following up that Jimmy had to do with some of the fellows that he called in the fraternity, and so we went from Julian's to picking up our friend of the podcast, Mike Bayrak, and headed over to the Deke House. And that was a fun. That was both you and no, you've been there before, but Johnny hadn't.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Hopefully, I was there before I was in dunk tank in the front yard.
well, I didn't know if they let you in. I wouldn't have.
I was. They let me change my clothes.
Yeah, no. Johnny had the cowboy hat too, which was pretty cool. But we'll
Yeah.
keep that as an inside joke. That was a really fun evening. I had a good time with you guys,
Yeah.
and we didn't
And
stay much longer after you, Bayrak and I.
yeah, because we always seem to do that stuff on a Friday night, and I have to work fairly early in the like not early in the morning. I have to be there by 11:30, and I don't like to be hungover when I'm working, and especially when you're dealing with people. Um, you should actually be nice to everybody you talk to, and sometimes you're not nice to everyone if you're hungover. Um,
Yeah, that's nice to be that
and
self-aware. Like my compliments, because some people, when they're not feeling good, the rest of the world it has to put up with them not feeling good. It's almost selfish, but good for you for thinking about that. Um,
because I used to work in radio, and I used to be hungover all the time, and I was okay with being dicks to them because they were dicks to me all the time. So it was, you know,
here's an
I'm more aware. I'm more aware of my dickiness when I'm hungover, when I'm hanging out with real people.
Yeah, yeah, you have to be. The I gotta tell you, like next time we go over there, like to the house, because there's a pool table there. I'm bringing you a cue because I think you got game. Like I think you got pool game, but those cues are too long.
I
That's like
used
playing
to
with
like
that.
I have a queue at my parents' house. That's
Yeah,
one of the smaller ones that when you buy the pool table, you get a free queue, and it's usually
yeah,
shorter one. That's the one I use in my parents' house.
yeah, yeah.
But
You look at it and you go, I can handle this, but no, you can't because it's heavier at the bottom. It's like
yeah,
if you're not a little person, playing with a regular size cue is like playing hockey with like a stick that's a foot taller than you are. Like you
yeah.
just can't, you can't. But like I said, good news. My parents have a pool table, and I got two of those cues for my kids when when um when they got it, or when my kids were old enough, frankly, and no one's using them now, so I'll bring one over.
Yeah,
Well,
because
maybe
I have the
we'll
same problem with the pull cue as I do with the lightsaber. Like I have the shorter ones, and then I have a longer one that would be more comfortable for you. But I use the shorter ones because when I'm doing the twirls, it doesn't hit the floor. But
Yeah, you know what? I just had a really good idea because it's true, and don't go overboard with this. But obviously, the fellas like you, and there was talk about honorary whatever with us. But it takes a lot to become a member. But I think that in lieu of that, maybe if we had like an honorary queue for Jimmy or whatever, no one else is going to use it, and so it's gonna maybe we can get a case or
hey,
something. That would be
but
pretty
if I
cool.
can become an honorary member, I'm willing to do I'm willing to go through punishment. Like if I have to be hazed or anything like that, I'm game.
Hmm.
If I need to lightsaber fight the president, I'm good. You know,
Okay, well, let's leave it at that. But I think that that would be really cool if we had like a Jimmy queue, and we can somehow set it up so that it's there for you whenever you come by and you want to shoot some stick. But that was Friday. I don't want to belabor. Saturday was Saturday was how do I do this? Saturday was the first Blue Jays game of the series against the New York Yankees. We'll talk more about it in sports, but I delighted in watching the Jays play at 2 o'clock on Saturday. We'll get to that later. Following
they
that,
played yesterday too, didn't they?
they did so. Yeah, it's a 5 game series. We can talk about it.
Okay, perfect.
Um, our good friends Jody and Carmen that we met at Sherbrooke, friend of the podcast as well, Sherbrooke Pub, St. Albert Trail and 118th.
We need to
They
go there again. We haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, we haven't been. We should do like maybe talk about doing our next one there, especially with the hockey season starting up. But anyways, Jody and Carmen are getting married next weekend, so Saturday, October whatever, 11th, and there's a stag involved and stagette, and then karaoke at Sherbrooke on Saturday in the evening,
Do they
and
need a
that was
stripper?
yeah. You sh- you
I
should have you
know a
should
guy.
you should you should have mentioned it sooner. But
I'll
uh,
just wear my outfit. I'll wear it to the bar.
yeah, you could have come to my house and done tryouts.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, they had, and it was a wonderful night. All of their closest friends, and then we're proud and to be invited, and or I'm grateful to be invited, and it ended up being just a really fun night. Jody and I did some bare naked ladies, and that was pretty cool. Um, but there's a funny story I got to tell you, just in the context of being bald. Is There's a server there. His name's I won't say his name, but he's a really really awesome dude. And he wasn't working that night, but he was ponied up to the bar. And I just when I first got there, I was ordering around, and I'm like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I won't say his name. And he goes, "Jody wasn't there yet," and he goes, "Hey, congratulations." And Jody just happens to be bald, and
Oh.
And like he's a server there, and I'm not what you'd call a regular. Like I'm not there every day. I might be there once every couple weeks or whatever. And I'm like, oh,
But like a
when we
lot of the staff know you and stuff like that.
yeah, like the regular staff will know me or whatever. But Ray's like, I don't know. Anyway, I remember him, and which is kind of neat because I'm not really that great with names, anyways. But um, uh, I said, what do we all look the same? Because Jody was bald, and then the guy sitting next to him at the bar was bald, and then uh, another fella from Sherbrooke, Matt, he was there too, and he was bald. I think we have our weekly meetings there. No, but and
Like,
I was like, what? We all look the same to you just because I'm bald? I'm Jody. Like, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
oh well,
And
that's
and and
awesome.
not for nothing, but the person in question is a person of color. So so that kind of added to the
I
joke.
but but the funny thing with that though is I've had quite a few times where I've been out and people call me by a different name because they think I'm a different midget. And I'm like, we don't all look the same for crying out loud. Like, we actually don't. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's
it
one of
it
the
it it acts it it doesn't make me mad, but the person in question, oh, it pisses him off.
yeah, it's a common midgetry problem, you know.
We're gonna get into that in a minute because
Anyway, that was oh, I should add, it was my mom's birthday yesterday. So my sister Andrea was gracious. She and her husband Chris were gracious enough to host us, and we had a wonderful time with my
you could
parents
have
and
stripped for
all
her
of
birthday too. I do birthday parties as well. You know,
them.
you being my friend, you should be promoting me because you know I'm the only midget male stripper in Western Canada. You know this, and with the fact that you're not promoting myself to birthday parties, to stagettes, like what kind of friend are you?
You're
Like
so self-absorbed that you're gonna vilify me for not getting you in line to strip at my septuagenarian mom's birthday party.
exactly, like
Where do
you
you
didn't
get the
even
balls?
you
Where do you
didn't
get the
even think
balls?
about it. You didn't even did you ask her? Did you ask? Hey, have you ever wanted to have a stripper at your birthday party? Like, did you ask? Did you give them the option?
Yeah, like I'm sure dad and the grandkids and everybody at the brunch would have been delighted.
They would have. I do have a G-rated. I do have a G-rated strip show too. Like, or PG-13.
It's like an
Um,
oxymoron.
PG-13.
A G-rated strip show.
I
What time? What is it?
I go down to shorts.
What is it like? We're 14 minutes in. Put that down. There's your clip, buddy. G-rated strip show for my septuagenarian mom.
Exactly. Like, but you didn't even throw it out as an option, and like,
Yeah, so inconsiderate. Like
when people tell me, hey, I'm trying to sell a house, I'm like, I know a guy, but no, hey, I'm having a birthday party. Hey, I know a guy that can strip for you. Like, with-
you're like,
you
you're,
scratch my
this
back, I scratch yours.
this
Like,
isn't like a. Like, I'm trying to sell a house. I know a guy who sells houses. I'm having a birthday. I know a guy who
I know a guy
strips.
who strips. Do you need a
It's,
stripper?
just, it's not apples and
I'm
oranges here,
I'm
pal.
having a stagette. Hey, are you looking for a stripper? I know a guy. Like,
Well, that's different. It's stag ed, like, but my
but
mom's birthday.
just saying she'd be entertained.
I know it's your birthday, mom, but I have a friend that really wants to make it about him.
No, it's not about that. It's about entertaining the people, giving the people what they want.
Okay,
But if you don't want to give people what they want, I totally understand. You can be a selfish prick. You know,
that's it's more like I don't want to give Jimmy what he wants because I want to maintain my relationship with my family.
see, You could have
Like
said
I had
that.
a choice. I had a choice, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
You could have said that. You could have said, "Hey, it would have offended my mom," but you didn't. You didn't even put a thought out there. That's all I'm saying. Is
Yeah, just
be
selfish.
don't, yeah, don't be so selfish, and think of other people.
That was my week.
Uh,
And obviously it could have been so much better if I wasn't so goddamn selfish.
I know it could have been, uh, but not everyone is as selfless as I am.
Clearly,
But as in my week hasn't really changed. Still looking for employment, all that kind of stuff works. As you said, we went to Julian's. I love that place, and and the staff there is great.
Lisa.
If
Yeah,
you haven't been there, yeah, you need to check it out. It's a nice little quiet bar. It's the food's good, the beer's good. They have people playing piano live there. It's pretty. It's a good place to hang out, and I love going there. And then
I
we
yeah.
what's that?
Unless the Blue Jays series, God forbid, goes 5 games, I have a sneaking suspicion that I and or Jimmy will be there next Friday at 4:47. I've decided,
But
not for
you know what?
nothing.
I'm I have my thoughts on where the Jays are going, and
By
we'll
the
talk
way,
about that when we get into sports.
yeah,
But
like sorry, I don't want to cut into your week, but just since you're talking about Julian's over there at Chateau Louis on Kingsway Avenue, Lisa, the bartendress or the bartender, however you supposed to say it, they
I
do
think
corkage.
bartender is okay.
Yeah, they do corkage there. So that means that if you bring in a bottle of wine, they'll just charge you $15 for the corkage and off you go. So because we had that other
I've never
engagement.
seen that before at a bar. I like at
Yeah,
a
no, some places do have, but not a lot. And you know what? Most places will do it if you ask, but they never advertise it because they want you to buy their wine. And that
yeah.
kind of leads into the story. So when I was paying the tab, I typically when I come, I'll bring a bottle of wine, and then instead of paying like 6 or 8 bucks a glass, they just charge you 15 for the bottle, and they'll pour your wine. But this time, because of our engagement after our hang at Julian's, I thought, oh, I'm not going to drink a bottle of wine. So, um, Lisa, I ended up pretty much kind of doing that anyway, but that's beside the point. I didn't bring a bottle of wine, but then when the bill came, they charged me $15 for the bottle that I drank, and
Huh.
that was a nice bottle of wine. So they did corkage anyway, even though I didn't. I kind of helped the cause by
They're
actually drinking more than a couple glasses, but still, that's pretty classy. You don't get that everywhere, folks.
no, they're good people, and they'll sit and chat, and they're so nice over there. And
Yeah, and Lisa gives as good as she gets. So shout out to Lisa from Chateau Louis Julian's, friend of the podcast. Sorry,
yeah,
Jimmy.
it was yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that, and other than that, I haven't had much of a life lately. We did go to the Deke House. I love it there. The the boys there are fantastic. I can call them boys because I'm older than all of them. Um, and
They're nice, respectful young men.
yes, and actually, there's this one kid. I like him a whole lot better than his father, and and he has hair. So and a lot of hair. I'm kind of impressed on how much hair your kid has, um, with how less you have. You know, just saying.
So then
But
again, like if you ever want to know how Jimmy feels about bald people,
yeah, I don't like them. Most of the bald people I know are assholes, present company included.
Johnny's not an asshole. I'm glad you
No,
know
no,
you can tell. I'm glad you can
he's
tell
the
us
only
apart at least.
he's the one I like. I used to work with a bald guy that was an asshole.
The
So,
one, the one bald person in the world that you like is Johnny.
so far, yeah.
I haven't.
But
I don't. I'm not acquainted with that many little people, but if I ran into a fella on the street and had a coffee with him, I'd probably
we'll
like him a
talk
little more.
about a little person that you already said you like more than me. We'll talk about that in a bit. Um, but yeah, other than that, today was kind of an interesting day because I told you over the last couple of weeks, actually, from what I realized, it's over the last couple of months, I've been kind of getting dogged when it comes to dealing with EI. And I learned something today that if you are struggling with getting a hold of people and this and that, phone them. Like I phoned and I dealt with this guy. I was having computer issues with the online stuff, but I called this guy and I was on the phone with him for maybe 45 minutes. He's he got everything kind of straightened around for me. He explained in great detail and like he told me everything, like when I have to, get a hold of them next and how much I'm getting and how much and stuff like that. I was really impressed with the guy that I was dealing with on the phone. Um, so, sometimes when you're dealing with government, you get the runaround. I didn't
Yep.
today. Like it was awesome. I was kind of impressed with that, and it kind of took a little bit of stress off my head. Uh, Finally getting a hold of someone and dealing with it. I don't want to go through details, but yeah, it was. You can talk to people, actually talk to real people on the phone when dealing with the government, and sometimes positive things do happen. And I was kind of impressed with that today.
You were impressed because it exceeded your expectations of the government. Because typically, like, because like they've kind of shown you that they're not really good at getting back to folks, right?
Yeah,
And
and the thing is supposedly my claim was approved a month and a half ago, but because I was trying to do it all online and getting like the running into issues online, all I had to do was phone the guy. So that was
if you never called anybody, would they have ever turned on the tap?
probably not because
Like you wouldn't have, they
I
wouldn't
had
have
to
gone
add
like,
no because he said they were waiting for me to just fill out one report. That's all I needed to do was fill
oh,
out one
okay,
report, and I can do it by talking to a person. I can phone and deal with it
yeah.
online or deal with it on the phone. But he also gave me contact on who to talk to get my online stuff figured out because so they have people that deal directly with that can talk me through that. So like he helped me in a number of different ways, and I was quite impressed. So I've never dealt with EI or any of that kind of stuff before because I've never not been employed. Like I've had a job since I was 13 years old, and I'm still working, but I'm getting and I told him that I'm working, and he goes, okay, so he told me what it is after they take off whatever I make at the other. So,
Well, we're gonna keep making moves and see if we can't find a way for you not to have a job. So, but
but
one
yeah,
other, go
but
ahead.
until then, I need to make money
And rent.
and rent. Yeah,
Yeah,
it really sucks when you have to borrow money, and I'm not a
yeah.
fan. I never have been.
So, yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that because first of all, it's good that they have people that are actually going to talk to you and walk you through it because it's like we're usually good at things we're used to doing. So it's kind of like if you're used to filing your income tax, you're not going to have too much trouble with that or whatever the case may be. But what I found in my career, at least or my adulthood, like CRA is the perfect example where when they want something from you, they're coming after you hardcore. Not that I've had too
Yeah,
much trouble in the past, But then when you're looking for a check or you need to be reimbursed because they did an audit or whatever the heck, it takes forever. And what I've learned is never take it personally. And it's not like, oh, we have to pay this guy. We don't care. It's just that just about everything that the government does is not up to the standards of private enterprise, simply because of the fact that they're not motivated by the profit motive. So,
Yeah.
but
But
we don't have to
hey,
go any further than that.
they dealt with me well, and the guy I talked to, I can't remember his name, but I was quite impressed.
I wish that you remember that guy's name so that we could shout out, because like anybody who goes to work every day and actually gives a shit, like like deserves a hand and
Yeah.
at least a shout out, because there's a lot of people that you run into nowadays that you can clearly tell,
But
you
also
know.
when you're dealing with a call center, because that's one thing that you know a lot of is they tell you the calls are being recorded, so they kind of have to be half-assed nice, because if not, and someone complained, that could like I've worked at call centers where I've had to fire people because they were rude to the other people on the other end of the phone. And I've
Yeah.
done political calls. I've called for political parties. I've done charity stuff. I've done surveys. And if you're rude to the guy on the other side of the phone, you will lose your job, and it's recorded. And if you're too bad, especially when you're doing a government job, you yeah, it's not good. Like you can get like not charges, but depends. If you, we had to like we almost had to call the cops once at one of the call centers because the guy that we had on the phone threatened the the person on the other end of the phone.
And like that's the thing, like yeah, it's like you said earlier about work. I don't want to come to work like even hungover, because just in case, like I'm, like even subconsciously I kind of I'm a dick, then you know my
Yeah,
what I'm
like if
doing,
you
like,
react negatively, if you
yeah,
like if you
it's
like even
pouring gas.
like or even if under your breath you go fucking cocksucker, and
Yeah,
that's recorded. And
yeah.
but
And I have sympathy for those guys on the call center, because um we we live, as you know, we live in an infill, and we live in an infill community, and our counselor, who is a wholehearted supporter of like massive infill development, her name's Erin Rutherford. She's the first term, I think, counselor this last term. We have municipal elections now,
yeah.
and our doorbell rang. I went to answer it, and it was a couple people. They're like, "Hi, we're here for Erin Rutherford." I'm like, "Oh, you are?" He goes, "Yeah, we'd like to talk to you about the campaign." And I, like, literally 4 doors down from my house across the street, they're building like a sixplex, which means,
Oh
and
yeah.
like, which means no one's gonna have parking. There's gonna be like at least 12 people living in a dwelling that, in the case of Chris, my neighbor, or me, supports like four. Um, and then the commensurate parking and whatnot. I just pointed and I said, we're not going to be supporting Aaron. Just look over there. That's all I said. I could have given them a mouthful, but they're ringing
The
doorbells
thing
because
is
she doesn't want to.
they're doing their job, and
Yeah,
and it's they're
yeah,
not the
they have
one you're mad
ambitions,
at.
whether they're getting paid or whether they get a assistant role, or who cares. I mean, I don't harbor resentment to them. I just pointed and said over there, like, we're not supporting her. I think they put two and two together. Nothing
Like
more needs to be
like
said. I don't need to
I've
asshole
done
it up and
calls
go
I've
ahead.
done call center work for years, and I've had like even calling for charities or stuff like that. I've had people that have been just downright rude. Um, and
Yeah.
I actually had a family member. I don't need to mention any names.
I
Um,
remember. Sorry.
but I don't want to. I don't want to give details. But I actually phoned for a charity, and the guy said, "F off and never call me again." And then I realized who it was, and I called him back, and he apologized when he realized it was me. Um,
It's
but
funnier when you say who the he is.
yeah, I know. I just don't.
Yeah, it's all
I
good.
yeah,
All good.
I just
Yeah.
don't. But like I've had like where I call people. One thing when you work in a call center and you get turned down and you get rude people all the time, what ends up making it fun is the oddest turndowns, like the oddest, like I was having a really bad day one time and I called this lady and it was in Ontario. I just remember that specifically. And she says, go fall down on your head and hung up the phone. And I did
You're like,
exactly what I did exactly what you did right there. I burst out laughing, and and my supervisor was standing behind me when I started laughing, and they go, "What's so funny?" I said, "This lady just told me to go fall down on my head," and and they go, "That's a little specific," and I'm like, "Yeah." And so the next couple calls, I had people, I was talking to them, and I'm like, please don't tell me to go fall down on my head. The last person did. I said this to one, and he goes, "No, no, no. I actually like your charity." And and my supervisor heard me say that, and they go, "Okay, the fact that you're taking a turn down like that and turning it into a joke is funny,
yeah,
because you have to change your mindset when you're having a bad day. The only person that can change your mindset is you."
yeah, 100%. And that's where I say, like, I don't harbor any ill will to people that work in those roles. That's you gotta make bank and pay rent and whatnot. And even the folks that came to the door, without getting into that and screaming and yelling at them and go, the person you're here for, blah blah blah. They're like, whoa, I'm just volunteering, which is probably the case, or maybe they're getting a stipend or whatever. That who cares? Point is that unless you approach that role, or if, like, whatever it is in your life, maybe you're in a job you don't like, you're stuck or whatever, how the easiest way to get through it is by processing your daily activities with enthusiasm while you look for something else and climb the next rung, or whatever the heck the case may be. And
Yeah, you
so
can't
those
focus
people are
on
the
the
last.
negative.
Yeah, and those are the last people that you want to come after, because they're just grinding. If you're rude to me, I'll come after you, but I'll never be rude to somebody else, like, at least intentionally, or with that
Like
in mind anyway.
But I had, like, as I said, working in a call center, I had some people that worked for me that didn't last long, that were kind of rude to people and would catch after. I was training a guy. He lasted one phone call,
Yeah,
just one, because like I did a couple calls for him to just show how we talk to people. And then the guy got through his intro. He said, this is a quick recorded call. And then he went, I'm calling for fuck this shit. I'm out of here. And he said that to the person on the phone and threw his headset down and left. I had to run over to the headset, put it on, and I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. That guy was new. He's not coming back. I apologize for that. My name is James. I'm calling on behalf of blah, 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 blah. And, and she goes, yeah, that job must be hard. And I'm like, yeah, for some people it's harder than others. And I made her laugh, and then I ended up getting a donation out of her anyway. But
wow.
yeah, he got halfway through his intro and just fuck this shit. I'm out of here. And
Getting
like,
getting a
it's not
donate
it.
getting a
What's that?
donation from that lady getting a donation from that lady must have really taken the sting out of shitting the bed training the guy that told her to fuck off, I bet, eh?
He was supposed to read the damn script. The training is you read the script. There's rebuttals in the script. Like you just, but
Like,
he didn't
I
even,
wouldn't,
he
I
didn't
wouldn't
even
have, I
get
wouldn't
through the
have,
intro. He
I
didn't
wouldn't even
even
put
get
the
through
kid on
the
the phone.
intro.
I wouldn't have put the kid on the phone.
What's
Like, I mean,
He
obviously,
seemed he
that could be
seemed
supposed to train
okay
him.
until he
Like,
took the call, and then I realized his last name was Mooney, and went, you know, I need new
What
friends.
is that? Our origin story?
That's our origin story. You don't remember it. You were drunk. Um,
I'm just kidding.
but yeah, other than that, that was my week. It was
This is the classic
not.
40-minute week.
Yeah. Hey,
That's good
wait.
though. We got good
That's
content.
what we do. So now we went through our week, and a big thing that happened this week. There's a lot of huge stuff, and we're gonna get into the sports because I know that excites you. I have some questions and stuff. So we know there's big stuff going on with the Oilers and the Blue Jays. I saw clips from a few of the couple of the games that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Let's get into it. One thing is I'm really impressed with what I saw with the Blue Jays and some of this and the little guy you were talking about who's not that little. Um, I did
yeah.
see clips of him and I'm like, he's not a midget. Like, what the hell? But okay,
This is awesome.
hit it.
Like everything you just said is awesome because not long before you and I started recording our hit this week, I I saw an interview with Chris Knobloch, who's coach for the Oilers, who also got extended, by the way, folks, for 3 years, which is awesome beyond this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll get into that too, but um, where should I start? You know what? I think I'll start with the big news in Edmonton, which actually wasn't really big news except for the content. So, um, honestly, like I think that the Oilers PR team was disappointed, maybe, and that we couldn't get more juice out of the squeeze of this lemon. Like, and I want to, sorry, lemon is a bad expression. Connor
Yeah,
McDavid,
especially
Edmonton,
dealing with that.
Edmonton Oilers fans, Connor McDavid just gave you a massive gift by signing for 2 years beyond this year. So he'll be here for at least 3 years at the same money that he's been receiving for the last 7 years. Um, the fact that, I mean, I've been saying this since he's made his comments, um, like, like because people are like, how come you haven't signed yet? It's been kind of. Luckily, I'm happy that it wasn't a big controversy. How come he hasn't signed? But you always have those fringes of the internet that go, how come he hasn't signed? Um, like, I don't think he's going to sign. I don't, like his contract expires at the end of the year. Maybe he's a UFA, blah, blah, blah. All of the words that he said because obviously the press is going to ask him, particularly when they show up for like the team skates and what they call the captain's skates. And he always said, I want to win in Edmonton. And there's a lot of variables. So to put everything in context, Kirill Kaprizov, who is franchise player for Minnesota, he signed last week, I believe, maybe 10 days ago for 17 million times, I think it was 8 because they can get away with it. Um, and Connor McDavid is obviously the best player in the league. A year ago, Leon Draisaitl, who's his shotgun, uh, he signed for 14 million a year. That kicks in this season, like on Wednesday.
Okay.
So Leon Draisaitl a year ago gets 14 million, even before they announced that the cap's going up. And like I said a week or so ago, Kirill Kaprizov signs for 17. So the whole thing about it's kind of like real estate. If your neighbor's house sells for 500,000, then you're not going to take less than 500,000 because particularly if your house is nicer. It's just common sense. So they look at it the same way in NHL sports when they talk about agency and how you represent your clients and whatnot. So obviously Connor McDavid having said that, the league has a cap on like the salary cap, wherein no player on your team can earn more than 20% of the cap. And so bearing in mind that not this year, because this year is already accounted for. Connor McDavid's already signed at the previous 12.5 million a year for this year. The next year, the cap was projected to be $104 million. which obviously puts Connor McDavid in line to make 20 million plus. And if you're really there for the money, you could make a strong argument. Like the Oilers always said, Stan Bowman said today, I I don't we never talked about money, and we just said, like, he never said blank check, but basically he's your franchise player, you're gonna give him a blank check. McDavid, I just saw on X, I was texting Kieran. We were going back and forth. As soon as I saw it, McDavid's going to sign today. Like that was it. Because when this information starts coming down the pipe for like people that pay attention to sports or excited or whatever, you're going to get it pretty quickly if you're kind of up to date. And it just so happened that I was up to date on my feed, and I see this McDavid. Something could happen today. Then McDavid, like looks like today. Then McDavid signing at Edmonton, announcement, whatever. And then in that like maybe 15-minute block from all the guys that get leaks or tips or whatever, Kieran and I are going back and forth, and I said 3 by 18 question mark. Like we don't know. And dude signs for 2 extra years at 12.5 million. Now that's the same money he's been making the previous 7 years, plus he'll be making this year. So
Okay.
it's just, in my opinion, and the reason why I'm sure they didn't make a big deal out of it was because Connor McDavid. He is such a leader. He's such a team guy, you know, that he wants people to, he doesn't want the credit. He doesn't want the attention. He wants to win, and he wants to win with his tribe. And so basically, like this year, Leon Draisaitl is making 14 million a year. Connor McDavid is making 12 and a half. Next year, on Connor McDavid's new contract, Leon Draisaitl's making 14 million a year. Connor McDavid's making 12 and a half. Now, having said that, those guys are like best friends. And last year, Leon Draisaitl was making 8.5 million a year. Connor McDavid was making 12 and a half. And I'm sure that there was no shortage of ball busting when, the bill came for dinner and whatnot. But like as much as we bust balls, like if we were like the top two players on a team, I'd like to think that I would do that, like, or that you would, like, but it's just, there's just so much good that comes from that. And if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, I'll talk about Jake Wallman, but if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan, look at nothing but the good about what he's doing, not just for the franchise, the city, the GM. I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Mike Bayrak, about, oh, this makes the pressure on Stan Bowman's more, uh, because, McDavid signed for less and he wants him to, you know, put together a team because he haircutted himself by at least 6 million. I'm like, the pressure is less because McDavid just gave him the gift of more money to buy unrestricted free agents, like particularly next year, July 1st, and even at the deadline. Like you could target guys and make promises to them that you never would have made if McDavid was going to be making 18 next year, which he rightfully should. So anybody who got worked up, had consternation about McDavid signing Edmonton, stop. Like this guy just gifted you. I don't want to say a Stanley Cup. I don't want to jinx nothing, but wow. Just, we always thought he was a great young man and a great leader and a great teammate and a great person. And then he does this. Like if he left Edmonton, I'd be like, you know what? Fair fucks. Like if he decided not to sign at all, I'd have been like, you know what, guys, maybe we let him down because he's done nothing but benefit everybody. And then he comes and does this, which he totally didn't have to do. But he wants to win. He goes, first of all, I want to win, and I want to win in Edmonton. Man of his word.
But do you think, like dealing with McDavid, part of his decision is the fact that now his wife has, kind of no, just listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Don't do the shake until I ask the question. That she's made a home here. She's got her own business. She's got, she's building her own little community here. Do you think that was that could have been a conversation going, you know what? let's do our best to try and stay here for a little bit. Do you think that was a conversation?
Yeah,
He doesn't
and
need he doesn't need the money.
yeah, I mean, anybody making 12.5 million a year, it like you're okay, and you can do things. And actually, I think McDavid's brother's a financial advisor, so and he's probably got a portfolio that's like ripe with McDavid's money. Not, I'm sure he's a great manager. I mean, knowing their parents and the kind of boys they raised, I'm sure they're both. So I don't think anybody needs to worry about money. And actually, Jimmy, um, one of the interviews that McDavid did, I think it was with Rashog at TSN, and they also have the Got Your Back podcast with Strudwick and usually Rob Brown, who's a beauty. Oh, Struddy's a beauty too, um, but one of those earlier ones, like kind of just when training camp was just before it started, and he said to Rashog, "What I just told you, there's a lot of things to look at. There's a lot of variables, and I'm going to take my time." And it's true. Like you have your family, your wife. Are we going to start a family? Like he's 28, I think. Um, there's so many variables when you think about it. And guys like us or guys that are on the fringes of the internet, at the outliers of the bell curve of the internet, or with the negativity and whatnot, oh, what are you talking about? You make 12. I mean, if some of those people commenting were making 12.5 million a year, they'd be they'd be broke at the end of the year. It's like you have to think about all of these different things, and it's obviously clear that he did. We didn't even talk about the NHLPA, which is the union for the players. But I think that by allowing Kaprizov to sign for the 17 that he did, it gave McDavid leeway to do the 12 and a half, because we'll let Kaprizov set the market. When McKinnon comes up, like when Kucherov comes up or whoever else comes up during the term that McDavid signed, they can do their 19 or their 20. But McDavid made a decision that in his mind reflects his respect for all the parties involved. So
So
that was a long answer about his wife, but she's getting her foothold in Edmonton with her bar and her business. I might actually just go to that bar how to and pay $200 for whatever it cost me for you and I to have dinner and have a drink.
two two
Like
hundred
just
two
out of
hundred dollars
respect.
for two drinks.
Yeah, well, don't do that. You don't want to discourage. I'm
No, no,
sure.
no, no. It's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, like you started talking about that. You asked the question about the wife, and like obviously it factored. I'm sure like they're married. I mean, you don't make decisions about your career without talking to your wife, obviously. So obviously it factored in, but that I started talking about that, and then you think about all the other things too. Like it's just it Oilers fans, be grateful that you have such a remarkable person as the captain of your team.
Yeah.
Is basically my conclusion.
So so to break this all down for the listeners, for the last 20 minutes we've been talking about McDavid. Um, and the fact is McDavid has signed again, and so he's still an Oiler for at least the next 3 years. And so so on a different note, I have to go there because
On
a
a what
huge
now?
thing in on a huge thing that's going on right now in sports for Canada is, we have to say, the Blue Jays. Like they're doing some great things right now. I know I I haven't watched the games because I usually work during them actually taking place, but
Yeah,
we need to talk about them.
yeah. We're gonna have to watch games this week, Jimmy. Like tomorrow. Tomorrow's happening. We'll watch that game tomorrow.
What day is it
There's a
tomorrow?
game.
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday at 5. The Toronto Blue Jays this season are a wagon for like a lot of reasons, but I think the biggest reason is that they're a team. Like they're just such a team. Um, like I think we talked about it last week, did we? Like when they secured the division, that they went back out on the field and celebrated the attendance,
Yeah.
right? So this is all subtext, folks. But I think that to be truly engaged in sports, like if you've ever watched the Olympics, like the coverage that NBC always does in the Olympics is just stellar, because like there's time in between, the shot put in the 100 meter, or like the shot put in the gymnastics, and during that time, NBC takes the time to talk about the favorite U.S. participant, their parents, some guy whose family had difficult circumstances, or whose mom's in the military or whatever. And it's almost like you watch that and you go, wow, like I'm cheering for that guy. He's had a hard life. Or, like Mike Tyson, like he boxed for the US in the Olympics, his trainer, Customato, whatever. The point is that subtext makes sports way more interesting. I'm telling you, like the first little piece of subtext that you got to think about when you think about these Jays is that if you looked at their roster, like I did, at the start of the season, and and predicted that they'd be AL American League champions at the end of the season, you'd be like, I would have bet against you. I'm sorry. I love the Jays. I've been a fan forever. I watch at least 50 games of the year of the 162 game season. And like, I wouldn't believe you, but every single guy is locked in. They're playing for each other. And that's a story unto itself. And then
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of other subtext. Like they had the 5 days off because they tied the Yankees in the regular season, which meant that they didn't have to play in the wild card series, which were 3 games, which took a week. The Jays had 5 games off, and somehow Vladdy found his swing again, which was a little bit lacking, and so did Kirky. Obviously, Kirky got Alejandro Kirk, who's another story. We talked about it last week, but
And
he
he's the midget, right?
he's the he's the person of smaller stature from
Oh,
Mexico.
the sorry, the little guy. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
And anyway, like Vladdy's hitting like 750 in 2 games. So like if you want to survive, and not even survive, but if you want to be in the upper echelon in the major leagues, typically like you want to hit over 300. In 2 games, Vladdy's hitting 750, which means that 75% of his at bats, he's getting on base. So that includes home runs, whatever. It's like, right. So
Yeah.
whatever happened with Vladdy and those, and also he hates the Yankees, so that helps. I can't say enough about the last 2 games. I mean, the way that everybody stepped up for each other, and all these guys ever talk about is teams. And if you want to talk about subtext, the kid that started yesterday, that was game 2. So obviously our ace started game 1 on Saturday. That's Kevin Gausman. We got from the Giants as a free agent, and he's been here since 21, I think. And as soon as him and he's got young kids, as soon as they moved to Toronto, they became part of a community. They're friends. They've made lifelong friendships in Canada. This guy, he's literally a baseball star. He's our ace, and he started on Saturday, and we won 10-1, 10-2, 10-1. And I mean, he was an ace. Like he rocked. And they took him out. Yeah, I think it was the bullpen didn't look that great, even though we have a great bullpen. But then the story that you probably all woke up to reading about today was Trey Savage, who's a 22-year-old from like he's down south though, the college that he went to. Anyways, he's we drafted him June 2024. So he was in college June 2024, which basically means that you draft him. Uh, he's either done college or he's going to opt to play majors or whatever. And yeah, it was East Carolina Pirates he played for. That was in college. And so think about this for a minute, okay? Because this is not the trajectory of a typical major league player. As an example, Nathan Lucas, he's 30, I think, maybe 31. He hit a double in game one that scored 2 runs, and he's 31, and he spent the majority of his career in the minors. Again, with the whole team concept. But Trey Savage, he's 22 years old, this kid. He started in A ball at the beginning of the season. So he finished college, got drafted June 2024, started in A ball. So in baseball, you have A ball, double A, triple A majors. And he just kept excelling like through each level. So in a full baseball season, which in fairness goes from like April to now, he advanced from A ball all the way to his fourth start in the majors ever, starting game 2 of the American League Divisional Series. And this kid gets 11 strikeouts and 5 1/3 innings. That's it. And like they could have stretched his arm out. I mean, he was at, I think, 78 pitches, but they could have given the Yankee batters like more time to see him. But as soon as he got through the Yankee batters twice each, uh, John Schneider came to yank him. And when I say yank, I don't mean that in a negative term. Like came to, let the bullpen take over after five innings and 1 out. Yeah, and he got booed. John Schneider did, for taking him out because the fans were so juiced on this kid, this 22-year-old who started in A ball, riding buses, staying in 2-bedroom condos with 5 guys, when you're at home, and just grinding like Nathan Lucas did for 10 years. And it's just a great story. And again, subtext, guys, like, so even if you're not like big time baseball fans or whatever, this team's a wagon. There's a lot to be said for them. And it just seems like whenever it comes time to pull for each other, there's a different hero every night. And I think that not only cheering for a team, but wanting to be part of a team like that is so special. So I'm there for the long haul. Sorry for the
Okay.
soliloquy.
Okay. Sorry. To make a long story, a long story kind
What?
of shorter,
To make it what? To make it what?
shorter.
Shorter.
Okay. So to make it shorter, so what happens if the Blue Jays win tomorrow?
They're done. They won the series. So basically, they
So
advanced.
it's best of 5.
It is.
So if they continue on the streak, we've got it. So then where are we going next?
So the way the MLB works is that, so like if you think about it in a hockey context, it's like there's 4 rounds, but the first round is a wild card round, and it's only 3 games. Takes about 5 days, basically, right? 3 games, 5 days, and just in case, actually, yeah. So and then you go into the divisional series. So this is the American League Divisional Series. There are 2, right? So you have the AL East and the AL Central and the AL West. And um, yeah. So after this round, so this would technically be round 2. So you have the ALDS, the American League Divisional Series. We're playing the Yankees. The Detroit Tigers are playing the Seattle Mariners. They're already split at 1-1. We're 2-0 against the Yanks. And like I said before, during that whole wild card series, we had time for the boys to recalibrate their swings or like get in the right mindset or whatever. No, none of those other teams had it. It also fucks up your rotation. So like the Yankees couldn't get to their ace Max Fried until game 2. That was yesterday. So um, we already benefited from that because we got a bye for the wild card series.
Okay.
So we win this series. The next series is the ALCS, which is the American League Championship Series. And we will play the winner of either Detroit or Seattle. You follow?
Okay.
So whoever
And
wins
then
that series in
the next series after that will be for the World
World Series.
Series.
Yeah.
Okay. So the game tomorrow, it's not here. It's in
It's the first game
Yankee.
in New York, which is also a way that like I want to credit John Schneider, the manager of the Jays, even though Trey Savage says I'm built for this, which he clearly was. 11 strikeouts, rookie, like fourth game in the
Yeah.
majors. Like he wanted him to start at home, and he did, and he did so well, obviously. But he didn't want him to start like his first start at Yankee Stadium, game two, game three of the NLDS. So we have like Shane Bieber starting tomorrow for the Jays. We picked him up at the deadline from the Indians, Cleveland Indians, and he was um he won the Cy Young he won the Cy Young award in like 21, but he had Tommy John surgery and he was recovering from that. We don't want to get into Tommy John, Jimmy, trust me, but it's a
We,
long
we've
recovery.
we've we've talked about it. Last time you brought up Tommy John, I fell asleep and I ordered a pizza. Um,
Yeah. Anyways,
okay,
and Beebs is like he's at his fiery magic, and he's already played a playoff game in his career at Yankee Stadium, and it's not a friendly atmosphere. And they love their team, like they're as passionate, if not more, than any of us here in Canada. I mean, they live and
so
die by the Yankees, so it's gonna be a show. I just like the way this team has responded and the way that the guys are playing for each other. I mean, I'm going to stop talking. You can ask questions after this, but they had a they had an
you're gonna
optional
stop
practice.
talking?
They had an optional
Can you?
practice today. The Jays did, and they had like
Okay.
interviews after, and the last time we made the playoffs, was
What?
2023, no 22. Like I don't know what the COVID and whatnot. Anyway, they asked Vladdy, "Is there a difference between the last time you guys were in the playoffs and today?" And he said, "Yeah, today was today was an optional practice, and everybody was on the field."
No
I'm
shit.
like, "Yep,
So
that's a team.
they
That's a team.
they're
That's a
hungry.
winning
They're
team.
hungry.
Yep, they're getting
They're
after it."
hungry. Okay, so I have kind of a statistical question for you, kind of with this. Uh, their what is their winning on the road? So how much of a chance do you think they have tomorrow winning on the road?
Uh, like that's actually more like sports betting. Really, it's a sports betting question. But I mean, you win the first
And
game.
and yeah, you gamble. I know you do. So it
No, I
just
don't.
don't.
Actually, don't. I only gamble when I go to Vegas. I'm not like a sports gambler.
Uh,
Maybe I'll become one. I don't know. Like, but I don't. I enjoy the majesty of the sport anyway. Like, believe it or not.
so what do you
So,
think they're what they're
yeah, like we won game one 10-1. We won game two 13-7. The and every game in the major leagues, this is where if you do gamble, you got to pay attention. Every game is different because there's a different starter, and they got Carlos Rodon. He's the starter tomorrow for the Yanks, and they did their best to save their bullpen last night after we got 13 fucking, well, less than that, but once we got up to 13, they weren't going to bring anybody out of their bullpen because we wore their arms out in Saturday's 10-1 win. So that matters too, right? Like you want the
yeah.
guys you bring out of the bullpen to be fresh. And yeah, I would bet on the Jays tomorrow. You've got a Cy Young award winning Shane Bieber, who's just been immersed in the team since he came here at the deadline, who loves the fellas, who probably re-signed with the Jays, and who's got his stuff back. I would put my money on the Jays, particularly considering that we got 13. Well, we didn't get 13 out of Max Fried, but we got him yanked in the fourth inning, and that's a guy that's supposed to run you like maybe six if he's having a game. Nah, I don't feel like this. So much of baseball is mental. I don't feel like this team is going to shirk at the plate. after getting like 23 runs in 2 games, I mean, it's a team effort. I'm talking about Trey Savage, and Trey Savage's story even would be more special if he got a 2-1 shutout or what, or sorry, 2-0 shutout. But we won a 13-7 game, and the bullpen was part of that. So I know they allowed 7 runs or whatever, but everybody is part of the team, and it's like when you trust that the guy next to you in like the dugout or the clubhouse is like in, then you're fearless out there. You're confident in yourself. You're not trying to do too much. 'Cause you're like, even if I fail, I know that Jimmy's gonna fucking take the next one. That kind of thing, that mentality. That's what I feel is emanating from these guys. So I'm gonna stop talking. Sorry, you asked me a
Yeah.
question and I took another 5 minutes.
And and I don't think you even answered it, but it's just I'm used to this because this is the Mooney. Um, so one last thing, and I'm kind of regretting it, but what the hell's a grand slam? I know it's a breakfast at Denny's, but what's that when it comes to uh baseball? Can you do it in less than 5 minutes?
Yes, I can do it in like
Okay,
30 seconds, but I got to tell you that I'm looking forward to watching tomorrow night's game with you. Like we'll find a way. We'll get it done.
I'm
But
I'm looking
listen,
I'm looking forward to getting drunk.
yeah, but just don't be asking me silly questions like that, and you'll realize how silly it is when I explain it to you. So when the bases are loaded, you understand in Jimmy, in baseball, there's 3 bases. So if there's a
Technically, there's
runner on
four.
every
Technically there's four, but okay.
no, there's
There's one, two, three, and
home
home.
plate, home
That's
plate, and
four.
home plate and 3 bases.
Okay,
Not for
so
nothing.
it's four. Okay,
Okay, well, okay. Keep on with your four
because it's a
idiocy
diamond. It's
because
not a
this
triangle.
matters.
It's a diamond
Okay, fourth is home, and maybe why they call it home plate, and like I'm going for home, like whatever.
because it's the beginning and the end.
So yeah, actually, this is good with your Star Wars mentality. So you have three bases and home plate. So if the 3 bases have runners on them, and the guy at home plate hits a home run, it's what's known as a grand slam because that one
Okay,
at bat got you 4 runs
okay,
because 4 people made their way around the diamond.
okay. That's all I needed to. That's all I needed to know. So now that I feel so much better about myself, and I know so much about sports. Uh, and I actually don't
Sporting.
give a shit about any of it. Um, is the fact that I am going nerd for at least 3 or 4 minutes because
I've
what?
given you the right. Yep.
Oh, I actually don't care if you give me the right. I'm taking it anyway. Um, son of a bitch. But ah, okay. Now I totally lost what I was talking about.
So you're going nerd or going quiet because there's a lot of other
Uh,
avenues.
there is, but it's I'm really excited about this, but I lost the article because it deleted the link.
If
Uh,
you're really excited about it, then you should know
I'm,
anyway.
I'm, I'm I should, but it's just, dude, when you talk about sports, sometimes my brain shuts off. Um, it happens. Okay, here we go. So we kind of touched on this last week, maybe the week before, about Star Wars Starfighters, the new movie that's coming out. And they mentioned a huge name that's going to be casted. And there's a lot of people in the nerd world that believe that Amy Adams being added to Star Wars Starfighter is going to be added to a character. If you are a nerd, you will be excited. If you're not a nerd, you'll be excited. It doesn't matter. It's so they're believing Amy Adams because she does have, reddish blonde hair. The only red hair character in Star Wars books and comic books that hasn't really been introduced in the movies is none other than Mara Jade. So if this movie is supposed to take place, just shut up. Dude, give me a minute. I gave you 6 hours with sports. Okay, so the thing is Mara Jade was originally the Emperor's hand. She was an assassin that was trained by Palpatine, that used a lightsaber. She was supposed to kill Luke Skywalker. And this series is supposed to take place, as far as I know, after Return of the Jedi. So it's going to be before Force Awakens. And if Mara Jade is coming in, I'm excited. Like, she's a pilot. She In the book, she married Luke Skywalker, but it hasn't really shown anything like that in the movies. But with the way that they did the sequel with Force Awakens, she could be dead before that. It's kind of hard to know. I'm kind of excited. I hope she is going to be Mara Jade. Amazing character. She's a bounty hunter, uses a lightsaber. I'm excited. But
So can I ask a question? Like for those of us that
I
aren't
hate
into,
it when you ask questions. When you ask questions, our podcast is 6 hours long. Um,
no, like, but like you mentioned, there's a book with the red-haired assassin with Palpatine and whatnot, and
it's
and
called The
the
Emperor's Hand.
yeah. So it's basically like if you're a Game of Thrones fan, it'd be like the Hand of the King ish. So like you
Kind of.
basically assassinate people on behalf of the king. Anyway,
Yeah.
or Palpatine. Okay,
Kind
okay,
of like
okay.
the,
No,
the
hang on.
Inquisitors. The Inquisitors worked for Darth
Don't
Vader.
details not
And
required
no,
here. Don't worry.
no, yes, details are very important. See, the Inquisitors worked for Darth Vader. The Emperor's Hand worked for the Emperor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got the whole
Speak.
Palpatine business, and again, just understand that I'm coming from it from just like some dummy that's just watched the movies, right? Um,
Okay.
and like you, with sports, I'm the guy that watched the highlights. But um, so the timing of, and we're talking about the Mandalorian movie, right?
Yeah.
So the timing of that aligns with the character about whom you speak.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so she'll probably play that character.
Mara Jade. Yes.
Oh,
That's what a
well,
lot
that's
of people are
surprising.
thinking. That's what a lot of people are thinking. And I'm really hoping it's going to go there. But
Yeah, good. That's all. Actually, like what you said makes me excited because it'll probably add to the drama because she'll be like a good villain, presumably.
yeah, yeah, it's if she's a villain, because if it depends, 'cause they haven't really given details on exactly when Starfighter takes place. We're assuming it's
Hang on.
during the Mandal. Just for the don't interrupt the train of thought, because and then get derailed, and then all hell's out for recess. So so if it's gonna be during, like, after Return of the Jedi, that's a good thing, but they haven't 100% said. That's just what we're assuming.
But you
And
said go ahead.
no, do your thing.
You
Speak.
said Starfighter, but then like I thought you were talking about Mandalorian. Like, are there two
No,
movies he was on?
Mandalorian is something totally different. They announced Starfighter because what's his name? Gosling. What's his first name?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, it was mentioned as a cast member. Starfighter is like they're a squadron that basically took together after Wedge Antilles started the Starfighter group. They were called the Rogue Squadron, and then they became Starfighter.
So where's that
But
on the timeline of like
it's
Return?
it's
Like,
it's supposed to be after Return of the Jedi, as far as I
okay,
know.
okay.
But they changed things.
Well, I mean that. So like the movie, this Starfighter movie you're talking about is in
It's
development.
supposed to come out in 2027.
Yeah, there you go. So it's like there's like it's like 2 years at least from now, and that doesn't even
Yeah.
conclude production. So they're just casting it right now.
Yes, they're casting, and
I, li-
and
I
this
like I
is
like the premise. I like the premise. So it's kind of like after Return, right? Like what happens after
yes.
Return and before the Adam Driver garbage, shitty movies with the
Actually, no, I'm wrong. Are you sitting
oh
down? It's
sitting
actually
down. I
not.
mean, I sitting down. I expect it.
It's actually supposed to take place after Rise of Skywalker. So 30 years after Return of the Jedi.
What, and Wedge is still alive? Didn't you say Wedge? Like Wedge built an
Wedge
outfit.
originally started the Rogue Squadron, but Starfighter is different.
So and it doesn't involve Wedge.
It
'Cause
doesn't
we all
involve Wedge.
remember Wedge. Right?
He's
Yeah.
Wedge is dead.
Stay on
He
target.
was
Stay on target.
he was actually no, he never said that. He was actually in Empire
Sorry.
Strikes Back. In Empire Strikes Back, he was the one in the snow speeder that used a grappling hook that tripped the AT-AT.
Yeah.
That was Wedge. He was
Yeah,
Rogue 3.
but he never died.
No, he didn't die. He was
Right.
in he actually was in Return of Skywalker, just an older version. He was old.
Yeah. I'm just saying. You know, a guy could be
Okay.
old, and it could be like the spawn of his whatever imagination or his outfit or whatever.
But yeah, so it's supposed to be after uh Return of Skywalker, which was over 30 years past um
Okay. Like
Return of the Jedi.
I know how much you love this shit, but can we both agree that if we're talking about a movie that's coming out in 2027, probably in the summer, so at least a year and a half from now, that
Okay.
unless we know what's in production and we don't indulge in gossip about who might be.
Okay. So in other words, that you're cutting my wings when it comes to talking about nerd stuff. But we just finished talking the first hour of our podcast about everything sports
Yeah.
that's in the world of Mooney. Okay,
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna retract that request because I learned a lot, like just from talking to you about this, because you're like obviously an encyclopedia of the universe of Star Wars, not our universe,
I am,
obviously.
and I will I will accept your apology. Um,
Because I never knew about
don't
this redheaded assassin, this
don't let this shit happen
redheaded
again.
serpent,
Okay.
this redheaded serpent of hell at the behest of Palpatine. You
Okay.
know, like
So now that we got that taken care of, there's a couple of other things that have transpired over the week, and we need to talk about. Let's start with something that actually both you and I are excited about. It's an upcoming event in Edmonton that's actually taking place next year. It's late March. Brad Williams. He's a little person comedian. I'm
yeah.
actually really excited to see him. He he's a funny dude. Some of the stuff that he talks about, I always make the joke that he steals my jokes. He actually has a much better delivery than I do. I will give the guy that.
Oh,
But
like
shut up, shut. Okay, but the thing is though, is he does steal my jokes. Like he's very situational comedy. He talks about stuff that happens in his life. He's experienced a lot of things that I haven't. He's a midget that grew up in California where it's mostly sunny And then he comes to Canada once every couple years and he has to deal with fucking snow and he bitches about it. I deal with snow every frickin' winter. I've walked in snow up to my frickin' navel. And sorry, I'm venting. But the thing is, the
It's
thing
in good
is
context, buddy.
we were talking about this on the weekend or like a couple days ago, and you brought up common midgetry. Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah. The shitty thing about having a podcast with this guy is that like sometimes we don't do deep dives. Like we find things and then we're like, oh, you got to talk about it on Monday or whatever. But I don't know. Like you were talking about Brad Williams, and that guy's a rock star. Like Brad Williams
Yeah, he's
actually,
funny. I like he
the
is funny.
he first came into prop, like at least in as far as my understanding, he first became prominent because they had an MGM show, um, Cirque du Soleil, Mad, was it Mad New York or Mad World at New York, New York, and it was a Cirque du Soleil show at their little theater, and little, it's just the size of the theater to relax everybody, especially you. Um, and Brad Williams was like the comic that was hired to come out. I don't know how long his contract was, but he'd come out there and like get folks riled up. So he's like, "Hey, fuckers," and do what he does. And he's just a funny guy. Like he comes up, he's got great observations. I don't think that he over relies on his midgetry. Um, I think that he has like really good, like observations. But
Midgetry
at the
is
same
not a
time,
word. Midgetry is not a word.
I just think that like um, it's just observational. And I suppose that if you're like a midget, then obviously you're going to have different observations. So Jimmy and I were Jimmy was like whining, like Jimmy likes Brad Williams too. Like in fairness,
He is funny.
he
He has a
yeah
great execution.
yeah. And by the way, Brad Williams, I don't know if it was his agent or money or whatever, but I can't imagine that you could fault his agent if a guy turns hosting at New York in Vegas show to like touring like 300 odd dates a year, and like he's doing River Cree like Jimmy said in April and in May, and he was here
Uh,
last year too, and unfortunately I missed it because I was in Vegas, ironically. But the point is that Brad Williams is like a shit show hilarious guy, but he's not on Netflix. You don't have to have a Netflix. He's got a bit like I don't know, it's like an hour and change maybe on YouTube called Starfish, and he's fucking hilarious. Like he's a good dude, and I have a lot of respect for him. And yeah, like, but Jimmy and I were talking about him, and as soon as he announced that he was playing River Cree in the spring, I'm like, oh, we're going. Like I said, I'm going. I don't tell anybody what to do. But then Jimmy goes, yeah, I
no, I'm
want to talk
going.
to him. You're like, I want to talk to him about stealing my joke.
Jokes.
And I'm like, he doesn't know who you are, Jimmy. Like unless you're part of the ball community, like we have meetings at Sherbrooke. like,
That's only that's only the Edmonton Central bald community. You don't even have North or South.
North
Like
Edmonton Central Ball Community. There are no other ones that exist. It's just you're like we just
like
trade rounds. That's it. But
and the Little People's Association. Like the last convention I went to, there was 3,000 little people, and that was across North America. So
yeah,
there's a lot more bald people than there are midgets.
we should talk
Just
about
saying.
that because that would be like a wildly interesting conversation. I know you and I have talked privately about that. If you feel like it, well, we'll talk. Anyways,
No,
um,
most midgets don't like me, and they don't like him for
yeah,
the same reason, and they
yeah,
don't like him
right.
for the same reason because we
That's
use the word
common
midget.
ground for the two of you. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
uh, we're talking about going to the show, and Jimmy goes like, "Well, I really want to hold him to account for his comments about, like being in the snow, and if it goes above a certain height, that I could like literally suffocate or
He just about died once. He
yeah,
didn't. He just talked about it like he almost did. But I did.
yeah. But it's like guy tours around the world. Anyways, we're just replaying the discussion that we had like last Friday, and I said it's not like a joke. It's common midgetry. He's not like laughing or leveraging your experience. It's common midgetry. So that's common midgetry.
What the fuck's midgetry?
Like humanity
Is
is
there bulgetry?
midgetry.
Like,
Baldertree, I'll take it. I don't know why you get worked up about it. It's like common midgetry.
but midgetry is not a word.
Well, it is now. Like
Because
it's like
because
the experiences the
he talks
experiences that
about
you share.
achondroplasia phobia. I've dealt with that too.
Hmm.
A fear of little people.
That's thank you for proving my point. Like two guys that don't know each other personally talk about achondroplagia. That's a common midgetry issue. And if you're like in midget, like that
Midgetry
would
is
be
not a word.
it is now. So like presuming that
It
like
shouldn't
you
be.
why not?
Because then you get credit for something.
Do not say you didn't say because it's wrong. No, like in fact, if you want to widen the like the take on the term midgetry, it's like the people in those communities that want to have conventions, the 3,000 odd people you were talking about. It's like that's another affliction of like midgetry is that we have
No,
no
it's not.
unity.
It's
We
it's
have we
it's
have like half of us have grown up well, like you and Brad, and like and like we learn, like we take lemons and we make lemonade, and then like and I'm probably being generous when I say half, and then you have another half that are like like, oh, we gotta make sure that we get concessions, and we
no,
have
no,
people that
no.
feather our
Okay,
bed.
dude, no. Stop there. That's not what these conventions are all about. Sorry, I have to
I don't
intercede on
know.
that
I don't
one.
know.
No, I
I'm
have to
glad you
intercede
did.
on that one. That's
I'm
not what
glad you
these
did.
conventions are.
But I don't presume to
Because
know.
what these conventions are is it allows people, especially like families that don't have little people in their family, you meet specialists like doctors, like they have like a convention,
Oh,
like where you can, where and companies that make accessories that work for your car that could have it so that you can adjust your house for someone with that size. It's not a whining session. It's a matter of other little people helping other little people uh, learn things because we all do things differently. Like like you wear a hat, some people use spray on hair. It's kind of like that's a bold thing. Some people use a toupee. Some people shine their head with a with a wax rag. Like it's just
I'm
the thing
sorry.
is the but with the convention is you also get to meet other little people that are actually dealing with stuff that you're not. Like I met a little person at the convention that I went to and she was a doctor at the time. And this was back in 2003. She was a doctor. She was 40 years old and, and I'm 4 feet tall. And when I was standing, she was this high.
Yeah.
So she was less than 3 feet tall and she was a success. So sometimes when you go to those, you see famous little people. Yeah, don't shake your head.
No,
You
I'm
see,
no,
but
I'm shaking my head
but
at myself. Okay, stop. Like
because the thing is it's a way that you get to meet other little people, and it actually works really well for little people who have never met other little people before.
I didn't
But when
know
I
Jimmy.
walked the
Jimmy,
first, oh no, just let me finish. Just because the first time I walked into this little person convention, and I was with some other little people, and they know the do's and don'ts, and I walked in, and I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of midgets, and my buddies are like, don't use that word here. You can use it between us. Don't use it here. You will get dead. Like it's like it's a it's a no no. But but there are groups that
yeah, stop talking right now. Like, hang on.
there
No,
are
no, no,
groups
Jimmy.
that
Like,
that
stop talking right now. Just so I can qualify what I said before. Okay. I love the
okay,
description that you just like laid out the last couple minutes. Like, but like the only time that you and I have ever talked about like midget groups or whatever was like people that were
little
like
people.
the grievance culture type folks. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, like I'm diabetic. We've never gone to any of those conferences, but I know that people that felt that they need help found support and shit like that, right? So, like, don't get me wrong. I am not talking about the group that you just described. I think that's fantastic. I think it's great for parents that got surprised. I think it's like everything you talked about is like marvelous. For the record, when I talked about the 3,000 person thing, I thought it was, remember, we had a talk long ago about when I talked to
there
you about
are
assuming leadership in a midget community, and you're like, they hate me because I'm too successful, or
there are little
yeah,
people in the community
just to lay that out.
that
Yeah,
don't like the fact that I use midget, the word midget, that I make fun of myself, that I do all these crazy things, that I'm a stripper, that I've, walked down White Avenue dressed in drag, or any of that shit, to make fun of myself. But there are others that have capitalized over the years on being a little person that allows them to do things. Brad Williams is one of those guys. He's actually he's done things as a little person that the average person would probably never do. And I've
yeah,
done the same. Like
yeah,
he has a bit where he talks about, because he went somewhere, I can't remember if it was Afghanistan or Iraq or where it was, and he was doing a comedy show, and they flew him around in a Black Hawk helicopter.
yeah.
That wouldn't like he wouldn't have had that experience if he didn't take advantage of the fact that he is a little person. And I do the same thing.
Hang
I've
on a
never
minute.
flown in
Hang
a
on a
Black
minute.
Hawk.
He's
No,
funny.
just no, he is funny too. No, I'm not saying he's not funny. I'm not saying he's not funny, but he uses his, in your words, his midgetry to make things funny.
Sure, like call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying that it's like, uh, um, and even going like, man, there are people that go, oh, life gives you lemons, whatever. I mean, the thing is that like the- God or life or the world like gives you like a toolbox, and it's your job to make the best of what you can make out of that toolbox. And like
It like
you guys like you and guys like Brad Williams, like should be held up as leaders in not the
it
support community, but the advocacy
it kind of
community.
reminds me of a TV show. And it's not Little People Big World. It's actually totally different. But the TV show I'm talking about is Iron Chef, where they are given a box where you have to deal with this and make the best of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they make gourmet meals out of that. That's how that's how people, whether you're a little person, you're bald, diabetic, whether or not um,
Like
you're
minimal intelligence.
like, like what life gives you,
Yeah,
that's what you have to make the best of. And
yeah.
some people look at it that way. Other people sit and whine. And the thing is people like Brad Williams, like, and so far in my life, like with the things that I've been able to see and accomplish and stuff like that, it's all because I took what was in that box and did and made the best out of it. And if everybody looked at life that way, it would be like you wouldn't have pissed off people. Uh,
What a wonderful world.
exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm
now
just
that
saying,
we're done,
like the thing that you said, the most important is like put yourself in that box and sit and whine. Like we're not those people. And if you are that
no,
person, don't listen to this podcast.
yeah.
I
But
love disagreeing, but if you're gonna sit and whine, find another channel.
but on April 30th at the River Cree Casino is when Brad Williams is coming to Edmonton, and I'm looking forward to seeing the show. I hope to be able to meet him backstage. That's what my hope is, and and it'll be fun. I am looking forward to it, and I'm gonna like you being my friend and actually my cousin who actually told me that Brad Williams is so much funnier than I am, and she loves it. I'm starting to think that
like
he's her favorite little person. Um,
like taking over as the number one.
yeah, yeah, he's number one of
Like
favorite little people.
for
And
her.
she's my cousin.
Like, well, you can always have Thanksgiving here.
But yeah, so it's that's coming up. I'm looking forward to it at the River Cree in Edmonton. And you know what?
And not for nothing, Jimmy. Like I know that you're thinking of ending the podcast here,
Yeah,
but Brad Williams has like a I don't know if it's classic, but I follow him on X, and he like the one thing that really gets him going is like when you go to the ball game or like like you get the urinals, like the midget
if
urinals.
someone's in
That's
your
for it's
using
for
our urinal,
yeah,
oh,
that was
that
his
shit
thing.
pisses me off.
That's
That
it.
shit
That's on
pisses me off
Starfish,
too.
by the way, folks. Check out Starfish Brad Williams on YouTube.
Oh,
But
when you walk
I'm
into a
like,
place like an arena, when you walk
dude,
into a place like
I'm
an
like, if I look back in the line, I'm like this. There's like 20 people. Like nobody ever leaves it stall open. Like in the halftime of the football game or the hockey game or whatever. But I'm like, if there was a little fella behind me, okay, I'm gonna give you the respect to look, but otherwise, shut the fuck up. Like,
no, but the thing is though, is I totally get what he's saying. He's not saying if every urinal's covered. If you walk in there and there's
are
no
you are you stealing
and
his joke right now?
there's 12 fucking urinals and there's 12 fucking urinals and there's one that I can reach. And you being a tall guy, the only urinal you're using is the one that's meant for me. And but there's 12 others used. I'm gonna pee on your shoe. Like 100%. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
like,
but
hey dude,
like,
I'm gonna
should
piss on
that
you
be
soon.
left open until Jimmy's ready?
If there's 12 other fucking urinals, yes.
Okay, but if there's like 14 guys ahead of you, like, should you advance to the
That's
front of the line?
different. That's
No, it's kind of
different.
the same thing.
No, it's not. If you have 12 urinals open and there's one used and it's the midget urinal, then we have an issue. And another issue I have is people that are in a bar and there's no midget urinal and the fact that they're taking a shit at midnight in a fucking bar. Who does that shit? Like, come on, shit at home before you go out. Okay.
What does that have to do with midgetry?
Uh, because I can, because if they're all tall urinals where I have to ricochet off my chin in order to get it in the urinal, uh, leave me the toilet.
It's, I like that. The one
Okay.
thing I like about this podcast is that I've normalized the term midgetry.
All I know is I don't like you. But this is the Bald and Short of It podcast. I am James P. White. That is Chris Mooney. We will see you next time. I have to go piss.